Hello, friends and enemies alike. It is Pyre, back with another video, this early. And today we're going to be doing something kind of dramatic. We're going to be doing no hold. I was planning on making this a follow-up to the... upstacking video. But I realized very quickly when trying no hold that the way you practice no hold is a lot different. And a lot of the advantages you get from using the Eternal Stack game mode, at least early on in practicing no hold, does more harm than good. So even if I could figure it out, which I couldn't, it wouldn't be good with a series teaching people how to practice, teach people how to do it wrong. Because I'm going to be honest with you, no hold is really tricky if you haven't practiced it before. You know, all the Game Boy nerds are going to be like, yeah, but I haven't used hold. I didn't use hold when I grew up. But and my commentary is not as great right now because I'm really trying to focus. I'm doing a really bad job. 1 second. So, the thing with the Eternal Exercise is that you always have to get Tetrises, and you always have to stay below a certain limit. Like a height limit. And that's fine when you're doing normal stacking. Starting out, I mean. But if you're trying to go straight to no hold, that height limit really makes things a lot harder than they need to be. And also, there are times where your stack would be fine if you were higher up when you're no holding, but because you're lower, you have to make compensations that just ruin your stack. And while the idea is that you want to be doing really good stacking with no hold, it's better to build up to that, because the skills needed for building a good stack with no hold are different than the ones needed for with hold. Like, see, the obvious answer here is to put that piece there, but that doesn't work in the long term. And this is why my first video was about eliminating dependencies more so, is because that becomes very important here. You see how we're going really high. If we were doing the Eternal Exercise again, this would have already been a game over, and I wouldn't have gotten any good practice from it. What's more important at this point is to practice just doing no-hold runs in general, and then after that, going on to Tetris only, and then from there, doing the Eternal Exercise both no hold. This is why I'm actually using Tetrio. It's because I don't need to use Tetris because it's not a specific game mode. Well, it's Sprint, but it's not like set up in a way that the Eternal Exercise was, where it's a custom game mode in one specific game. Tetrio is just more visually good to look at, I feel. I like the minimalism of gestures, but it doesn't make for good content, I don't think. The polish isn't quite as there. Which is fine. But see, you're coming up with a lot of things where it's like, oh, if I held this piece and, you know, put Z and S here, that would be great. But you can't do that because that eyepiece is there and you have to deal with it first. You can't just make a spot for it. So while the rest of upstacking training is just about eliminating those dependencies for saving pieces more so, I would say. proper no-hold is about doing the absolute best option in the moment. Granted, I should do the worst option in the moment and misdrop. But you gotta admit, it was... I mean, it was four... I mean, it was... That was all Tetris's, I think. Right? Yeah. Yeah. See? T-spin. Oh, that's because I spinned a piece into one of the slots. That wasn't like a T-spin double. See, I'm already doing better than I was earlier when I was trying this out. Because I was trying that out on the Eternal Exercise, and that's not going to be good when you're first starting no hold. See, I stacked up a bit too quickly there. You see, if I place this here, you see how you can create a perfect hole? In a way that stabilizes the stack if you hold that piece right there. But I can't do that. And that's the point. You can't just make moves because they feel good. You gotta do the best move in the moment. Yeah, it'd be great if you had this, this, and this piece, but you don't have those pieces. You can't wait for them. I'll put it this way, if my upstacking practice earlier was to encourage flexibility, this one is to make it so you do the best you can with the pieces you have. It's less about flexibility and more about consistency. Because you're not always going to be able to hold for the pieces you want. You're not going to be able to sit there and think about solutions. Sometimes you've just got to work with what you got, and no hold teaches you two things. It teaches you to make the best with what you got, and it makes you build for the situations where what you got is bad. It teaches you how to build in ways that prevent a lot of awkward scenarios. That's what's important. So you gotta think this one through, because normally I would just put the T in some weird place and hold for a better piece, but no. And I think no hold is a good practice thing. One of my, someone told me that, you know, just practice with Game Boy for no hold. Now, you could do that, but it reminds me of the idea that holding is less skilled or makes the game require less effort or thinking, which I understand the mentality behind, but you see, the thing is if you can't hold, you can't go for a lot of T-spin setups. You can't really go for a lot of, you can't go for a lot of setups, actually, in the main, I guess we'd call it metagame, wouldn't we? Because those rely on being able to hold. So, I definitely think no hold has a place as a practicing method. But the idea of no hold is that a lot of people starting out, and I consider myself starting out in this regard, will, you know, they'll hold their pieces so that their upstack is better. You don't want to be holding your pieces so that your upstack's better. You want your upstack to be, you know, great. No, what you want to hold for is complicated setups. Because if you have to hold for your upstack, then when you get a good solution, but you need to stack in a certain way to pull it off, you're not going to have the skills to make that piece work. I mean, there's pieces you get for that work. And we're back to being bad. Which is what I like to call regularly scheduled programming. Me being bad at Tetris. You see, I'm bad at Tetris. Not really. But, like, in terms of anyone who knows what they're doing, I'm bad. Not to say that everyone who's as bad as I am doesn't know what they're doing. What I'm trying to say is I think I could improve. And many people see this as when it applies to them, as a bad thing. Because, oh, that means I'm not, like, X rank. Doesn't mean that means I'm, bad. In my case, I think it's more of a blessing in disguise, we'll call it that. Because it lets me detail what I'm doing, and it lets me show the mistakes I'm making now. So people can look back and be like, oh, see, this person was actually really bad at one point, but this is how they got better. If I was making this kind of video when I was a lot better, it'd be a lot less interesting, I think. Of course, this entire series works on the premise that I actually get good one day, and there's a very high chance that I don't. Stick around and find out. Wait, I can't physically use hold. That's right. I completely unbinded the key. So it's not just a mental thing, I'm actually just not holding. You see, I forgot about that because when I was doing the Tetris attempt with this, I was just doing it on the principle of, oh, I'm not going to press the button. Sometimes I would and hold, and I was like, I held. But it's okay, because only once or twice. Nope, can't do that here. And this is what okay, that was really bad, though. And I think that's a good thing, that was really bad. And I like to think of it like this. I'm going to have good games this practice session, and I'm going to have bad games. And then I'm going to stop recording, and then I'm going to go practice. And I'm going to have good sessions with that, and I'm going to have bad sessions with that. And that's okay, because it doesn't matter if I'm having bad or good sessions in an actual ranked game. It just doesn't. If I'm not at the point where I can consistently do something almost flawlessly, then it's not a strategy you can rely on. If you only somewhat mastered this one skill, well, you haven't mastered it. You're not gonna do very well. You gotta get the fundamentals down. So, while in this individual game I'm doing now, I'm doing pretty good. I picked up steam where I left off. That start was awful, but, it's learning experience on one hand, but on the other, in the end, it doesn't matter that this game is good, because it's very likely that the next one is going to be very bad. And that's okay. A limitation of the series, admittingly, is going to be the fact that I can't just improve on something overnight. And that's what the practiced off screen is for, is because I come back and I show the results I get with this practice method. And it's not going to be great, but it's going to be better. And you see, another nice thing about practicing this way is you have to confront your mistakes. What does that mean? Well, if I start up a match in Tetra League, the ranked version, the ranked game mode, and I start playing that, and I have to hold, the game doesn't end. I don't just end up restarting. I have to keep going. If my board looks like this, there's a good chance I'm going to lose. But I haven't necessarily lost yet. So, if my opponent is bad enough, and there have been cases where I've had like a good 20-30 seconds to figure out something to do, you know, I gotta keep playing. I can't just let that one admittingly really bad slip up end the game. I think this is good practice for that. Okay, well, I screwed up. What now? Well, you keep playing. And see? I completed that. And of course, you have moments where you reset anyways, like I do. But I don't see that as a reasonable thing. I see that as giving up. And it's okay to give up sometimes. But it's definitely not a habit you want to build. No, what practice techniques like the eternal exercise is good for is forcing you to do better in, like, situationally. I mean, forcing you to do better in that one run. You're gonna have times when you just do bad. And that's okay. You gotta practice, though, how to cope with that. See that misdrop? Terrible. It's not all what I wanted to do. If I was doing the eternal exercise, it'd be ruined, and rightfully so, because I shouldn't have made that misdrop. I should have been paying more attention. But I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that kind of run. So, how am I going to get out of it? How am I going to clear these next 7 lines in a not terrible way? I can't just throw away with a run. And again, look, this is a botched solution, but it's a solution. Okay, now let's try to actually be good at this. Enough philosophizing, whatever I'm doing. Being able to take the L and just keep trying to, you know, improve whatever dumb situation I got myself into, though. That's definitely, if there's nothing else I want people to take away from my playstyle, it's that. I would not be at the rank I am now if I didn't learn to just make it work. And don't get me wrong, you know, S+ isn't a high rank, but I'm honestly not high ranked. I mean, I'm honestly not S+ in raw skill. In fact, I'm hardly S. My stats have only gotten slightly better. Is there a T-spin soon? Yes. I've only gotten slightly better since my A+ days, I feel. But what makes me different, I think, than other people at my skill level, why I got so high in the first place, is, you know, you gotta learn, you gotta have the mindset that your opponent, if you're up against them, they're also not that great, probably, if they're up against you. You just gotta have that mindset, and that they're gonna make mistakes. Not every round that goes horribly is a loss. You gotta make those bad rounds into wins. Like this. This is a position, if playing against someone in Tetra League, I could probably recover from. I'll show you how I would probably do that in theory. It's a bit easier with no hold. But see? Stack is stable. And we're back down. And we got a T-spin. You see? A lot of people give up when you're in a really bad situation. And yes, all this practice is great for preparing to not get into those situations. But what I put the most effort into, I think, is getting myself out of these weird situations. And that's what got me up to S+ and SS. The only thing that's holding me back now is, well, I don't know how to not get into weird situations. Which is why I'm starting from the basics. Like, that solution I came up with to get out of that situation would be good in a my rank game. You even got a few T-spins thrown in there, but you could have probably, if you were better, in a better situation, or, you know, had ways to build around that better, you probably could have gotten a few Tetrises out of that kind of stack. You know, you need to convert your stack into APM somehow. Attacks per minute somehow, I mean. Yeah, my finesse counter's going off. Finesse is weird. I know it now. Meaning, in theory, if I sat here and focused really hard, I would know all of it and I could do all of it. But in practice, it's very hard for me to actually implement in my playstyle. Not because my playstyle is super special and, you know, it's worth being bad at, you know, that skill to, you know, sacrifice it. I ain't no CZ. I ain't gonna triple rotate because it's cool. But sometimes it just gets in the way, you know, and especially in versus, it's very difficult because a lot of my matches are in Tetrio, and it doesn't have the sound effect for finesse and Tetrio, so I practice it for sprint, and then I'm like, okay, well, now what? Well, there is no now what. You just do finesse well, or you don't. You know, that's fine. If I really wanted to, if I had hold on right now, I would probably do better in finesse. This is not me trying to justify me doing bad in finesse. It really doesn't matter. That's not the point of this video. But I don't know. Finesse and practicing it has been something I've struggled with for a really long time, and I feel like there's a lot of pressure when you're trying to improve it, or when it's bad, that, you know, oh, well, am I unlearning? Am I relearning all these bad habits? Is that what's going on here? Probably. That's probably what I'm doing, but, you know, no pressure. I can just unlearn them again, and then relearn them again, over and over again, and then one day I'll hit a wall where I have to actually sit down and do it right, and it'll be okay, because I'll have this experience from here on how to practice it. If I really wanted to be good at finesse forever, it'd probably be like 2 weeks of me just doing finesse, but, you know, I'd be better at practicing it by then. Yeah, that's the thing with practicing finesse too. Something I noticed is that when I practiced it, whenever I practice finesse and I do really good finesse, every other skill drops. And that's just because I'm too focused on finesse to actually, you know, I have to learn the basics first so I don't have to think about them, and then I can focus on mechanical movements a bit more. It's a bit hard to predict your moves and then make them in the way that finesse basically requires when you're still trying to figure out how to stack well. Because sometimes you have moments where you're like, oh, this is good over here, and then you go, oh, maybe it's better over here, as you're about to place the piece. And, you know, people who are really good would just be like, just don't move it until you're certain. But, like, yeah, I'm certain until I get to that point. Are you telling me to ruin my stack? Okay, I was wrong. The obvious answer is yes, ruin your stack because it's good practice, but gonna be honest, that's really a good way to build bad habits in other areas. Like what? I can't consistently stack very well, and you're telling me to ruin my stack even more, so I can move the pieces better. What's moving the pieces gonna do if I can't move? If I can't figure out where I'm gonna put them anyways? Oh yes, I placed my pieces very well, and now I've topped out because I'm bad. Okay, well, that training was very helpful. Six defaults. That's painful. Whatever. No hold. Nice thing about no hold too is that no hold's trying to, part of it, the nice thing about it if you do it right, is your key presses are going to go down anyways, which is part of the reason why finesse is so good. If you do perfect finesse but with hold, your key presses per second, your KPP as it's called, it's going to be alright. But if you can do it with no hold, or basically no hold, especially with sprint, the thing's going to drop an entire digit, I swear. It's great. It's like magic. You can't really have one without the other, at least when it comes to sprint, I feel. So... And I'm really a sprint main at heart. Not that I want to be. But that's just the framework that helps me the most. I can't do Ultra, man. Not like Ultraman the franchise. I mean, I can't do Ultra, dude. Like, dude, it sucks. I can't do Ultra. I'm consoling in you, and I'm calling you. Is that what it's called? The consoling? I'm telling you that I can't do Ultra, and then saying, calling you in a non-gendered way. I'm addressing you as man, and I can't do Ultra, man. It sucks, right, dude? I can't do Ultra, though. That's what I'm trying to communicate. I don't even remember why. I just can't. You know what? You know what? You know, no. Let's try it. Let's try it. Let's try doing Ultra. Okay, and we're back on Tetris. Is that the right button? Is it full screen? It's full screen. Okay, and we're gonna ditch these dweebs, and we're gonna play Ultra, so I can show you how bad at Ultra I am. Okay, so we got the classic start, and there wasn't a good place to, there wasn't a good MKO setup there. Anyways, so you go for T-spins and Ultra, right? Because that's how you get your score higher. And I'm great with T-spins, as we all know. So, it shouldn't be a problem. And immediately we're running into problems. But that's okay. Oh, maybe I should practice this in another video. Sneak peek. This is a sneak peek into future content. Because I'm bad at this. And you know what else I'm bad at? The skill that this practices. Which is not being bad. God. This finesse thing, the sound effect it makes, it's so meh. I really prefer the what is it called? The Tetrio, that game. I prefer the one we were just playing now. That one has a better one. That one sticks out more. It reminds me a lot of the arrow shooting sound effect from Shadow of the Colossus. Basically the same sound effect. I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, OSK just straight up stole it from there or something. Ah, yes, that beautiful melodic. Fuck. What sense did they get this sound effect from? Because I don't want it. And I'm doing bad. Oh, we got 9 seconds left. Did I make a video about being bad at Blitz? Wait a minute. Ultra, same thing. 21K. Man, I am good at this video game. But I think I'm gonna stop being pro at this video game now. Is it recorded? Did it record? Okay, I just got back from being good at video games. Nah, I had to pause there. Oh, that's right, we're doing no hold. I had to pause the recording because people were talking outside my door, which is for a good reason. There's a roof on the leak. Wait, I don't think that's right. There's a leak. No, there's a roof in the leak. There's a leak in the roof. There we go. There we go. I got it. Easily the most impressive part of this entire video. Other than the part where I actually filmed it. Like, come on, who actually expected to follow up to the last one? For me, no, I just disappear off the face of the earth every time I upload. I know there's no one who relates to that at all whatsoever. I'm the only one. It's impressive. Haha. So I'm gonna keep doing this, and I'm gonna keep doing bad, and it's gonna be great. Well, don't really know what else to say, to be honest. I mean, yeah, if you want to do the same thing I'm doing, just unbind the hold key and just do a bunch of upstacking like normal. I'll do one more, and if that gets me back into the groove, this video is gonna be like 10 minutes longer, and if it doesn't, then it's gonna end in like 2 minutes. So, I mean, you can look at the video length and figure that out. I'm sure as people have picked up by now, I have a bit of a weird speaking problem. What's the problem? I'll say I'm bad at it. Which you gotta admit, in terms of speaking problems, is a pretty big one where, you know, it's usually ideal to be good at it. One wonders why I chose to do spoken commentary when I'm bad at speaking. But I honestly just do things I'm bad at because I think it's funny to be stuck in situations I'm bad at. I just find it really amusing to completely fail at everything. You know, like in a really comic relief kind of way. I set up situations where I'm just bad at something, and then let the inevitable happen. It's great. I mean, this is the fastest run of all of them, I think. That's why I play Tetris. Ha 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 ha. Okay, I'm kind of in the closet of thinking I'm actually kind of okay at Tetris, to be honest. Like, I don't know. I enjoy the level of Tetris I play at, actually. I think it's nice. And if I quit forever and disappeared off the face of the earth and could never play it again, honestly, I'm happy with how far I got into it. I only really keep playing it because I think it's fun to improve and practice. You know, I'm not really in... I used to be in this... I had this goal of becoming, like, this world-class Tetris player. But, like, I've gotten to a nice level, I think. You know. There's no pressure, you know. Even if I don't improve in this series, which I definitely will because my habits are good. You know, I'm happy with that. I'm glad that I put the time and effort into this game that I have. And I think I'm going to keep doing it. But, you know... don't have to be, you know, ranked #1 in the world to, you know, think I'm okay. That also helps a lot with the game, actually. Just, you know, it's a game at the end of the day. The people at the top got good because they had fun playing it. You know, if you're not having fun with it, like I wasn't having fun with it for a hot minute or so, so I stopped playing it. And, you know, I got worse as a result, but, you know, I'm coming back and I'm doing good, I'm vibing. It's good to enjoy the process, you know? Because if you don't, then what's the point? Why would you want to be good at something you don't enjoy doing? This is why I can never really get good at chess. I kind of like chess. I just need to relax a bit on it. I feel really pressured to get good for some reason. And, like, that's a bad vibe, bro. See that long pause, that sigh, and then going back to stacking? I should have just gone back to stacking, man. That's how that works. That's how you get good. You just gotta accept that happened. See, I'm not focusing on that mistake. I'm just moving past it. And see, look, we're over it. That wasn't so bad, was it? That was arguably worse than the other one. Good practice. Also, thinking you're good at something does give you a lot of confidence, which, if it's correctly placed, will make you better on its own. If you think you can become X rank, then that confidence will get you to X rank, which sounds really dumb. And if you're not careful about it and you don't go as fast as you probably thought you would, then it can be discouraging, like it was for me. But you know, if you don't think you're ever going to get that good, then how are you going to practice getting that good, you know? Your goals don't determine your outcomes, but your outcomes are determined by your goals. It's the best way I can think to put it. You see, this is now that I'm actually paying more attention to what I'm doing, that was an error I could have avoided. Probably. I don't know. I think at this point, I feel like within your first few bags, you can pretty much guarantee, you can play, if you play well, then you won't have to worry about situations where you have to make a bad move. But like, I feel like after a certain point, you have to be really precise with how you play, or else no hold starts to kind of crumble in on itself. And I understand the goal is to, you know, be so consistently good that you don't have these weird problems like here. But, you know, I feel like it's easier to at least it's a sign of progress if you're making those mistakes earlier in than in, like, the first 3 bags. When I mean bags, I mean... and I have to clarify this because not everyone who watches my videos is big into Tetris, and I know this because they've told me. A bag is when, like Tetrio, the game I'm playing now, it has what's called a 7-bag system, so the pieces are randomized in groupings of 7. So you have an assortment of 7 pieces, like each individual, like you got the O piece, the L piece, so on and so forth. And that is randomized, and then it takes another bag of those 7 different pieces and randomizes them. And that way, the order in which you get the pieces is always random, but you're never going to have that moment where you are waiting for an I piece and 40 pieces leave and you never get it. And then you don't need it and like 50 come. It's not completely random like NES or... I think, is it completely random in the NES game? I forget. I don't know, it doesn't matter that much. That's just what a 7-bag system is. I think my brain is fried. There's a point where practicing in general daily will always, in my experience, be with consistency. You get better results. So playing more will boost your skill level. But in terms of from session to session, each one has diminishing returns. So if you play 1 game, that's great. If you play 2, that's really good. If you play 3, it's good. 4, and I think around, I'm going to say around, like, it's different for everyone, but I'd say for me, around, like, more than, like, 10 or 11 games, and it starts losing its effect. And, like, right now, because I've kind of hit my limit, I'm not really playing at my peak 100%, which is when you want to be practicing. I'm more playing at, like, my... like 30%. This is not a situation I would have gotten myself into a lot earlier in this recording. And if you're not careful about it, you can actually do damage to your practice, because you can reinforce bad habits that you wouldn't have made had you been, I'll call it sober. You're not really drunk, but you're not really thinking as clearly at the point that I'm talking about. I think I'm like 1 or 2 rounds away from it being harmful, so I think this is going to be my last one. And you know, this looks discouraging because, oh, well, you started off so mediocre, and now you're not even that. Well, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow, because it's like probably 10 o'clock at this point, and I'm gonna be great. And it's gonna be good. And I'm gonna go do what I need to do for that day. And then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna keep practicing, and then maybe not right away, but over time you'll see the effects of this day start to take hold in my actual play style. Because if I haven't held this entire, session, then I'm used to thinking about not holding. So tomorrow I'll do more no hold, and then maybe I'll do more eternal exercise with no hold. And eventually I'll get my sprint to be no holdless and all Tetrises. And then it'll be low stacking with no holds and only Tetrises. And that's how you get better. And then after that, we'll move on to, I don't know what I want to move on to next. After my next topic, I want to be on openings, possibly. But I don't know how to practice those. But we figure that out as we go, don't we? Either way, whether that happens or not, I want to start working on T-spins and damage output. And I think openings is a good bridge between upstacking and APM, or attacks per minute. So yeah.